Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Tuesday, May 1st. We have 14 games on Tuesday's main slate. We got a lot of pitching options today, at least up top. There are 5 pitchers over 10K, and then you have other options as well, like Chris Archer, Michael Wacha, Kyle Hendricks. This is definitely a slate that's loaded with pitching options. There are bad pitchers as well going today, so there are going to be some stacks we want to go to, some pitchers we want to target against with opposing bats. But before we do get started looking at this slate and talking about the pitchers and batters we want to go to today, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. If you're new, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. We did just hit 9,000 subscribers yesterday, which is just absolutely insane. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all of you watching these videos daily. The ones that have clicked that subscribe button, it really means a lot. But yeah, pitcher today. Looking up top, we got Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, Kershaw, Verlander, and Noah Syndergaard. All are pitchers over 10K on DraftKings for today. Just ranking these 5 guys, it's kind of, for me, I think it's going to go like how they are in order. Max number 1, Sale 2, Kershaw 3, Verlander 4, and Syndergaard 5. I'm just not a big fan of Syndergaard today. I don't even think I'm going to be paying up for him. Same with Verlander as well against the Yankees. I think Verlander has upside here. But Max Scherzer and Chris Sale, Kershaw, those are kind of the 3 guys I'm just really sticking at today, especially Max and Chris Sale. Those guys versus Pittsburgh and versus KC, I think have a lot of upside, especially Max, who has just been so good this year. I am plugging in Scherzer as one of my 5 plays for today. I really like paying up for him. I think he's probably the safest pitcher on the board, and I think he definitely has probably the most upside as well. We've seen Max just go out and totally dominate some starts this year. Against the Braves, I pitched a complete game with 10 strikeouts, 48 DraftKings points. Against the Rockies, 7 innings, 11 strikeouts, 36 DraftKings points. This Pittsburgh matchup I really like. There are definitely strikeouts in this Pittsburgh lineup, especially when you get towards the bottom with guys like Cervelli, Jordy Mercer, the pitcher. Even guys like Josh Bell, Corey Dickerson aren't heavy Ks, but versus Max Scherzer, you're going to strike out versus this guy. Doesn't really matter the matchup. Max is kind of matchup proof. I'll consider this guy whenever he's on a slate. Especially versus Pittsburgh here. I think you can't really go wrong with Sale. You can't go wrong with Kershaw. But Max, for me, is the guy that I really want. And then SP2, there are a lot of SP2 options, I think, like in this middle tier. I think Chris Archer versus the Tigers could definitely be a play here at 9,200. You're going to have to really find some cheap bats if you want to pair him with one of your studs. But you could go to Archer. Michael Wacha versus the White Sox could also be an intriguing play at 8K. He makes sense as someone to pair with your stud pitcher, but the guy that I really like is dirt cheap today. We got some good value at SP2, I feel like, with Andrew Suarez at just 5,400 in a matchup with the Padres. Now, I don't think Andrew Suarez is like this really great pitcher, but when you're 5,400 going up against the Padres in AT&T Park, one of the best pitchers' parks, I think you have to be considered. Suarez, to begin the year, he's started 1 game this year. That was against the Diamondbacks. He didn't do that poorly, at least for fantasy. He got 15 DraftKings points. Pitched 5 1/3 innings, allowed 4 runs, allowed 2 home runs, but did get 7 strikeouts versus the Diamondbacks. We know this Padres team will strike out a lot of Ks up and down this lineup. It's a great pitcher's park. The Padres have a low implied run total today at 3.8 runs. I think Suarez, I don't think he's going to go out and dominate here, but I could easily see him getting 15 to 20 DraftKings points, and that gets the job done at 5,400. That price tag just so cheap to where you can fit in bats if you play Suarez. He pairs well with one of your studs if you want to go Max and Suarez or Chris Sale and Suarez as your SP2. That still leaves you nearly 4K remaining per player. So I think he just makes a lot of sense at his price tag. There are other options that are cheap that I do like as well today. I think a guy like Nick Tropiano, 6,400 against the Orioles could be another value play. The Orioles definitely have some power in their lineup, but they do have a lot of strikeouts as well, especially versus righties. This team will K. The Orioles, their run total for today is under 4 runs, pretty low. So I do like Tropiano. I think he could be an option, 6,400. Even King Felix at home versus the Athletics, a team that does strike out, could also be an option at 6,600. But for me, Suarez, just that cheap versus the Padres in a great pitcher's park, I think just makes a ton of sense. So for a pitcher going through the position, if I'm paying up today, I definitely want Max, Sale, or Kershaw. Those are kind of the 3 guys I'm really looking at. And I'll rank them how they are. Max number 1, Sale 2, Kershaw 3. And SP2, I think if you want to go Max and Archer, I think that makes sense. If you want to play Wacha and Scherzer, you could do that. I like some cheap options as well here with King Felix, I think, is a play. Nick Trepiano, 6,400, I really like. And then Suarez, obviously, dirt cheap value, 5,400, I think makes a ton of sense as well. But that's it for pitcher today on this 14-game slate. Now if we want to talk about some hitters, some of the bats we want to target, my first guy is going to be at first base for today. You can play him at first base or in the outfield. Ryan Braun, 4,300 versus Homer Bailey. Absolutely love Ryan Braun here. Great hitter's park, great matchup with Homer Bailey. Braun has great BVP versus Homer Bailey. He's done really well against him in the past. He's seen Bailey 47 times, and in those 47 at-bats, he's got 16 hits. 4 of his hits are home runs. He's batting .340 and 47 play appearances versus Homer Bailey. Just makes a lot of sense because Bailey's not a good pitcher. He struggles to righties, will struggle to lefties, will give up home runs. It's a great hitter's park as well. I think the Brewers, one of the top stacks today. Ryan Braun, I think, is a great play. Shaw, Yelich, Kane, obviously. You even got some value here if you want to play Domingo Santana. I do prefer him versus lefties, but even versus a guy like Homer Bailey that gives up home runs, you could go to Santana at 3-3. Just really like the Brewers today. Going to be getting some more exposure to them in my 5 plays with a guy we'll talk about next. But Ryan Braun, 4,300, first base or outfield. Really like him here versus Homer Bailey. Then the next guy, going to be at third base, getting some more exposure to that team. Travis Shaw, 4,300, same price as Braun. I really like at third base. I think he's a great option versus Homer Bailey. Bailey just not a good pitcher, really struggles to lefties, gives up home runs. It's a great ballpark for hitters. Just things really add up for the Brewers to have some success here versus Bailey. And I really want to get as much exposure to them as I can, especially with Braun and Shaw at just 4-3. I think both of them are great plays. If you want to play Yelich, you want to play Kane, I think makes sense. But that little mini stack there of Braun, Shaw, Santana, I think could really be good. That 3-4-5. Santana is dirt cheap today. He's only 3.3. I do like him for some value in the outfield, but just looking at Shaw, 4,300. Miniature play at third base. I think he's a really good option versus Homer Bailey. And then my final play is coming at second base. You can also play him at third base, so if you don't want to go to Shaw, you could play this guy at third base. But Matt Carpenter, 3,600, I think is a great value option, second base or third base, versus James Shields. Great matchup. We love targeting hitters versus James Shields. James Shields is not a good pitcher, probably the worst pitcher going on this slate. I love the Cardinals here. I think they put up a ton of runs. This is another team I think you want to have some exposure to today. So Matt Carpenter, Pham, Martinez, Ozuna, Molina. I think this lineup is in play top to bottom. You got some value towards the bottom of that lineup. But the guy that just really sticks out to me, Matt Carpenter, dirt cheap, batting leadoff, 3.6K. Just makes so much sense as a value option here. Even though Matt Carpenter has not been hitting the ball that well this year, actually been hitting pretty poorly, just 2 home runs, been batting 155 so far this year. I think he's still a good option, especially with the matchup with James Shields. That matchup will get you right. We could see Carpenter go deep here, would not be surprised. So I like him in the infield, second base, third base. Think he makes a lot of sense as a value option. And yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for today. Max Scherzer, Andrew Suarez, Ryan Braun, Matt Carpenter, and Travis Shaw. These are some guys I like for today that I think you should be considering in some of your lineups. But now if we want to look at some stacks for today, some of the top teams with high implied run totals on this slate. Number 1 for me, I think it's going to be the Cardinals here. I just feel like James Shields is such a bad pitcher. The Cardinals have the highest implied run total on this slate, 5.5 runs. I want exposure to that team as much as I can get it. I think the Cardinals are a great stack for today. I think the Brewers versus Homer Bailey, another team you can look to. Their implied run total right now as I'm recording this video is at 4.8 runs. Another team I think puts up a ton of runs here. And these guys aren't overly expensive. You can definitely fit them in if you want to play Max. You can still play Max, Suarez. Fit a lot of these guys in like Shaw, Braun, obviously Santana. Like this team as well. And then looking at some of the other stacks on the slate, at least teams that really stick out to me. Alex Cobb's been absolutely terrible this year. He's been giving up a ton of runs every start. So I do like the Angels here. I really want like Mike Trout, Upton. I think those are the guys you can stick to. Shohei Ohtani, if he is in the lineup today, I think he could be an option. Projected about 5th at 4.5. Do like the Angels as well, but I do have them ranked behind the Brewers and behind the Cardinals. I do prefer the Cardinals and Brewers over the Angels, but Angels another team I think makes sense. That's really it for like full team stacks. I think you can kind of pick some one-offs. Maybe some teams like the Red Sox if you want to go to them. Taking a couple guys versus Jake Junis, I could see wanting to do that. If you want to take a couple guys versus Matt Boyd, some of these righties from the Rays, they're dirt cheap like Cron and Gomez. Those are guys you can consider. I do like Wilson Ramos. Anytime he faces a lefty, I always like to consider him at catcher. But stacks for me today up top is definitely the Brewers and the Cardinals. And now if we do want to look at some of the BVP plays on the slate, some of the top BVP plays, at least with a high sample size, number one today, I would say is definitely Ryan Braun, just because of the sample size. 16 hits through 47 at-bats versus Homer Bailey with 4 home runs. Also got Paul Goldschmidt, pretty high sample size. He's seen Clayton Kershaw 49 times, has 11 hits. 3 of those hits were home runs. And then the others with big sample, Miguel Cabrera, 7 for 18 with 2 home runs versus Chris Archer. Freddie Freeman hit Syndergaard well, 5 for 12 with a home run. Could consider Freddie Freeman in a GPP. Obviously, you wouldn't play him in like a cash game or anything, but as a tournament play, nobody's going to be on Freeman today versus Syndergaard. You could go there. As Drupal Cabrera has done really well against Sean Newcomb, 5 for 12, 417 average. Albert Pujols, 7 for 12 with a home run versus Alex Cobb. Mike Trout, 7 for 12 as well, but has 2 home runs. Pujols and Trout are both batting .583 versus Alex Cobb, so they've really seen Alex Cobb well. And then I would say the last BVP play on the slate, Brandon Belt, 8 for 19, 421 average versus Tyson Ross. But now if we want to look at pitchers that have done well in their matchups in the past and pitchers that have done poorly, Max Scherzer, to no surprise, has done well against the Pirates. The Pirates have only hit him for a 200 average. They only have 12 hits through 60 at-bats. Scherzer has 20 strikeouts through 60 at-bats versus the Pirates, so that's a 30% K rate. Scherzer's definitely gotten the strikeouts versus the Pirates in the past. Verlander done well against the Yankees. They've struggled to hit him, only hitting him for a 213 average. And then Clayton Kershaw done really well against the Diamondbacks in the past. They've only hit him for a 187 average. Felix Hernandez has also had some success versus the Athletics in the past. They've only hit him for a 180 average, only 32 hits through 178 at-bats. Like I said earlier, I don't mind King Felix as a cheap SP2 if you do want to roll with him. And then the 2 pitchers that have done poorly are 2 pitchers I'm definitely going to look to target today. I like targeting the Brewers as a stack, so I think Homer Bailey does have some trouble here versus the Brewers. He's had trouble in the past. They've hit him for a 302 average with 7 home runs through 116 at-bats. And then Alex Cobb has struggled against the Angels. The Angels have hit him well, 28 hits through 85 at-bats, 329 average, have 4 home runs versus Alex Cobb. But yeah, guys, that's really it for BVP and PVB on this slate. And I think that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully it did help you. If you did enjoy, just make sure you click that like button down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe as well. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Always active on Twitter, at the DFS_GOAT. Or you can leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you guys as soon as I can. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And good luck tonight on this slate. Peace.